this one. Romeo had all of his teeth removed except for the canines, which
God
is why
damn.
a cat has canines is kind of weird, but there you go.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 587 of the Dead Robot Society. Holy shit, we're heading towards 600. You believe that? You believe that, Terry?
At this point in time, we're committed. It's what? I've been here 12 years. We're going to keep doing this another 7,000.
Wow, we have truly pathetic lives. I'm Paul E. Cooley. Joining me, as always, is Mr. Terry Mixon. Terry, what the hell is up with you? Did you survive New Year's Day or New Year's Eve? Did you survive the new year?
Shit, I'm still here. It's not like I left the house to do anything.
There could be an AI on the other side of your conversation. This could all be a deep fake.
For
all I know, J.R. Handley is playing the role of Terry Mixon right now.
Who's playing the role?
J.R. Handley.
Oh my God. I don't recommend anybody watch that show.
So how the hell are you? What's going on?
New Year's kicked off. I've got maybe 8 chapters left in the novel that I'm writing. So I'm bringing things to a close. I'd hope to wrap it up by the end of 2020, but it looks like it'll be this week sometime that this next week I'll wrap it up, start the editing process. I've decided I'm going to start a new way of trying to get myself to write more during the year. It's like writers everywhere. You got to come up with a new way to try to goad yourself into doing more. And one of my author friends said that he wrote using a kind of a variant way of things that I've done in the past. He sets himself a word count for the day, but if he writes over that word count, the extra words are banked so that if you're short other days, that they cover for it.
Interesting.
And I like that idea because my problem is I'll fall off the wagon and then I feel that I can never catch up.
Yeah, but who are you catching up with?
If I set myself a goal, I feel badly if I don't meet that goal, and then it deters me.
Okay.
It depresses me.
Oh, I know that feeling all too well.
So especially with, I want to write, but there's that pesky editing thing. You've got to go ahead and edit the work that you're doing. And that takes time away from the writing. So I figure I'll give it a try here in 2021, where I set myself a goal for writing 2,000 words, and anything above that gets banked for the days that I'm editing. I'll still try to write every day, but it may only be a scene. And then during editing days, I'll try to write a scene and edit some. We'll see how that works out for my productivity. If I can get up to my goal of between 6 and 8 books in the year, I'll be happy. I don't have to be Jake Bible. I don't have to produce, a book a month.
Nope, you don't. So why put that pressure on yourself? It's basically what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. I think that one of the ways of productivity is, rather than raising the stakes, it's lowering the barriers.
Yeah. If it's always easier to come up with a goal that's easily met, so you feel like you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, and anything that's over that is just bonus, right? Set your word count for 250. Hey, I broke 250. Great. You made your goal. Keep going. How long can you go till you've got to go do something else, or the brain just goes, hey, I'm done with this now. It's you just kind of do as you can. And if you make the goals low, easily achievable, then you'll make them. If you make them unrealistic, you will fail and feel like an idiot.
Yep.
And get depressed and hate yourself and have imposter syndrome and all that other crap.
Then you won't write for a week and you'll feel really bad. And that's why the idea of banking words appeals to me for the experiment, because when I'm on fire, I'm on fire.
I really want another 10,000 word day. I haven't had one in so fucking long. I really want to have one.
I've had one 10,000 word day. One day where I wrote 12,000 words. I was shit for like 3 days after that.
It brain blows. It's just like your brain goes, I got nothing. Go to sleep. Go do something else. Go learn tax accounting. I don't care, but we're done with this story right now.
So after 2 days of doing this, I'm 3,000 words banked or something like that. So I can deal with that. Well, maybe 2,000 words banked, something like that. 2,500 words. So, and I wrote a chapter today and edited another one that has to go up on Patreon. I'm going to next year with the next book. I'm not going to try posting it to Patreon as I do the first draft. I'm going to finish the first draft and post it to Patreon as I start going through that editing pass. And that will take off. I figure I'm much faster when I focus on the writing. And so that's going to help me next year as well.
I've been cycling.
People recommend it. It breaks my head.
I've been cycling because I come back and I'll think about something and I'll go look at that chapter where that happened in, and then I find myself reading the whole chapter and then changing words as I'm going down or whatever else and finding little editing knickknacks, and then it gets me back into the story, and then I go jump to where I was, and then I read what I already wrote in that chapter and fix it, and then I come to where I've stopped, and then I start again.
People swear by it. For me, it's been a huge break to my productivity.
Yeah, and this only works for me getting me started, right? It's not something I would do after every chapter, go back and look. I don't want to do that. If I'm in the flow, I'm in the flow. And when the flow breaks, then I can go back.
Some people, they before they start writing for the day, they go back and read what they wrote yesterday. And
I'm
if
one
that
of those
works,
folks.
Hey, that's perfect. Rock yourself out.
I have to get.
It does not work for me.
I just have to get back in the headspace of where I was, especially if I go away for a couple of days. I got to go reacquaint myself with everything that's going on, especially in shipyards right now, since I have a massive space battle.
It's rough for me when I go ahead and get far enough along in the story. I'll discover places where I'm like going back through and editing it. And I'm going, I kind of like jumped here. I forgot I was doing this other thing. And I dropped this little piece of I remember the big stuff, but I forgot that I had this one person doing this thing. I probably should, have them finish doing that thing.
Or cut them from the book.
My editing is usually pretty light as far as when I make the pass through. I make 2 passes when I'm done writing the first draft. The first one is basically a gross correction of things that Dragon has gotten wrong. And also, tightening up the prose and getting things the way I want it. And the second one, and major continuity issues. And the second one is just smoothing things out to where I'm happy with it.
I'm looking forward to that day.
Oh, yes. As a full-time professional author, I sit here in my study doing all of these things, don't you know?
Uh-huh. Sounds like a real problem. I've still have about 20 to 25,000 words to do on shipyards. I keep finding little things that go, oh, I have to take care of that. Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. And it's just like, God damn it. So I'm still finding things I have to write scenes for.
I've got about 25,000 words left to finish up too, but I'm going to be finished this week. How about you?
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. I've got code due. I've got more robot shit coming at me.
What is the progress on our robot overlords? Are you ready to take over the world yet?
No. I actually don't know what's going to happen with that because things are the way they are right now. And that's all I'm going to say. They are what they are. And I don't know what's going to happen or anything else. We'll see. It's just I may have wasted 2.5 years of my life.
Sadly, that's the nature of life.
Sadly, that's the nature of startups. So we'll see. And, in essence, that's cost me 3 novels, really. Because it fucked my schedule up so bad that I couldn't write. I had problems getting the podcasts out. I was always doing this, that, and the other and trying to juggle 15 things. And it really fucked me over for the last, 2.5 years. and it hasn't been worth it monetarily. We'll just put it that way. It's actually cost me money in the long run. So that's what that is. But yeah, I've got all that stuff coming at me. So yeah, I have to basically get my writing done in the morning, or like today. I got it done this morning as well. Yeah. Try and wake up in the morning, get my words. And then once I get my words and it's 9 o'clock, it's time to shut all that shit down and go back into code land. And sometimes it's really hard to do.
A regular job anymore.
Yeah,
I am
fuck you.
so unproductive by 9 o'clock. Oh, 9 o'clock. It's time for Terry to start doing something.
Well, I don't have this is my schedule. There's no schedule being put on me. I mean, I don't have to be online at 9 o'clock for anybody. I can fucking work whenever the hell I want. So it's not really an issue of I have to be here at this time. It's just I wake up at 7 in the morning and grab my cup of coffee and go, okay, what am I doing? I'm going to go check the news. I'm going to go look at a YouTube video, and then I'm going to spark up Scrivener, turn on the music, and get to work.
9 a.m. to about 3 p.m. with breaks for meals and screwing off is my writing day.
I hate you so much right now. So anyway, Shipyards is progressing. I'm trying to be less afraid of how this is all going to turn out.
Fine.
I was having one of those days today where, depression just kind of like starts to do its thing. And I've talked about this before. I'm bipolar too, so it's constant battle. But it tried to cramp up in me today, and it did a really good job. Until out of the blue, a friend of mine wrote me something about my fiction, and it kind of pulled me out of it. And I was able to go back and get some writing done, and depression kind of went away. It's weird how that works, but sometimes it just takes a little kick in the nuts, and you're able to focus again. But it's been a constant battle. But I think we finally got my meds. Really got my meds fixed. It's just I'm only allowed to have 100 milligram pill by insurance, and I'm taking 200 milligram pills. So I'm going to have to cover half of that out of my own wallet, because the insurance will only pay for one a day as opposed to 2 a day. So that's going to be $600 or $700 a quarter, maybe more.
My wife's on a lot of meds. I feel your pain.
Yeah, I know you do. So anyway, that's pretty much the only other thing that's kind of going on, but we'll figure it out. Bottom line is there's a lot of shit going on in the world. There's a lot of shit going on everywhere around us, but there's a lot of shit going on in my head too. And I kind of need to focus on that.
That's what you need.
Huh?
You just need a Netflix series, The Black on Netflix.
Oh, if only. Or Derelict. We actually had an interesting conversation in Discord about turning Derelict into a video game. Did you see any of that?
I did see that.
Kind of got interesting really fast, didn't it?
I'm not a video game person, so I just watched it go by. That was a very intense little conversation that went on and then went away.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked at how many people jumped in, and then they started naming gaming engines and program companies and this, that, and the other. It's like, holy shit, guys, stop. But it made me go look at some of these open source engines, like Godot, and taking a look at them and going, wow, I could actually do this if I wanted to not have a writing career, never make money again. I could spend all my time doing this shit.
That is the gaming industry.
I'd still have to hire an artist, though, because I suck at 3D.
Well, one of the things about working with the gaming industry is just like Cyberpunk Red or Cyberpunk 2077
yeah.
Is that you can really suck and still run a big gaming company.
That has got to be the biggest debacle in video game history. And
It's tough when your game gets pulled off of, oh God, where did it get pulled?
PS4, the PlayStation and Xbox got pulled.
Yeah.
From there. Yeah.
It's like, that's tough shit there when that happens. But it was so buggy. That's what I've heard.
Yes. I sent you one of the bugs where the character's penis was hanging out, right? Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, go to a search for Cyberpunk 2077 bugs. Oh my God, will you see some really cool shit. I didn't know you could fuck physics up that bad. Or the NPCs that scream at you when you've done nothing, but they act like you did something. They were.
What the fuck? I'm just sitting here.
There was a whole thing in that game that they showed, and we'll end this bullshit soon. But there was a whole part that they showed that was like you're sitting outside a hotel, and you've got the little run around the street, and cars going by it and everything else. Well, the cars are going by, and each one of them slammed into a mailbox as it was going by. Dozens, all slamming in the same mailbox.
So, as a programmer, how do you fail to see these problems before release day?
Because you don't have any fucking QA. Anyway, each car or motorcycle or bicycle, whatever, was damaged when it did this, obviously. So some doors fell off and some other shit. But here's the funny thing. All the NPCs were screaming at you as if you were the one that wrecked into their car. And you're just standing there.
Hey, man, it's not my mailbox.
So I just saw some of those and was just like, how in the hell does this even happen? Anyway, that's a really complex game. I mean, there's hundreds of people working on that game. I can't throw stones at that. What I can throw stones at is management.
Oh, yes, we can.
Well, we can throw stones at the finished product. I can't throw stones at the developers themselves because I know from what I've read that they were on death march after death march after death march. And it sounds like because of COVID, they didn't have the QA, they didn't have this, that, and the other. They didn't know what they were doing with the PlayStation or the Xbox, and the morons at the top decided to just go ahead and throw it out there. And that's what happens.
Well, that sets a pretty low bar for how bad is the black game? Not that bad.
It's really depressing because it's like you want to see these beautiful worlds that they create, and you want to run around and do things, and it's very story driven, and you feel like you're the character, and it's wonderful when they can pull that off. They didn't pull it off, and so it's wretched.
The physics in this is all screwed up. So it's like a universe where, strange physical constants are screwing everything up. And you're standing there going, that's not even possible.
And for some reason, I saw one day where the character was just walking through a store or whatever, and suddenly the person comes flying through the wall for no reason. An NPC just goes flying through a wall for no reason. It's how? How does this even happen? Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much that. Go check that out if you want some laughs. Trust me, Cyberpunk 2077. Go look for bugs and glitches. Search on Google. Oh my God, you will love it. It is ridiculous. The penis thing was so funny. It just made me, I almost dropped out of my chair laughing. It was wonderful. So we have a show. We actually have a show.
We do. We have a topic.
We had a topic. And then we fucked everything up after that.
Anybody that says we stay on topic, they don't know us very well.
No, they don't. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into that with, what are we going to talk about? We'll call this Building Blocks of Character, courtesy of Cards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we even talk about that for at least 5 minutes.
Yeah, at least 5 minutes. After that, though, I don't even remember a damn thing we said, and that was just 30 minutes ago. So let's
baby.
Let's see what we babbled about. All right. Have you figured out a topic for today?
What? We need topics before we start talking? Holy shit.
I talked to you about that 30 fucking minutes ago, and you haven't come up with anything.
There's this game that my wife got for me, and we're not gonna mess with it today. We're gonna save that for a live show where we can put each other on the spot with an audience.
Oh yeah, because that'll go well.
That'll go over very well. But Tabitha Haddock says she got that because she wanted to have something where she could generate plot ideas. Basically.
Okay. Right.
And I know of people that have done that before, or people that use other things like that to make characters more complex by giving them just basically random details. I think that would be an interesting topic of fleshing out characters and plots, because when we come up with something, it's not fully formed.
I know that brainstorming, and we do that all the time in this show. We've done it with patrons. We've done it with other folks. I mean, Justin wrote a book after we brainstormed. And I know it's just like the poetry thingies you get, that you put on the refrigerator and you can make a poem out of, anything, any kind of nonsense or something beautiful that you want to do. And I think that when you're playing with things you're talking about, it does spark the brain in a big, big way, because it's about possibilities. It's about thinking sideways. It's about grabbing your imagination and by the throat and dragging it along with you. And those are really, really good moments. Those are those aha moments, and people get the idea for what they want to do and maybe find the inspiration for it.
Backstories. Better backstories. It's not the greatest graphic in the world because it covers itself up.
Yeah, I couldn't read it.
I missed out on the original Kickstarter for this, but I bought a copy afterwards. So I just picked a random card here.
A mysterious person arrived when you were young and left a gift. This could have been a message, an item, or just a good blessing. Your parents may or may not have abided by the stranger's wishes. Okay.
Just random things you can add in to a character creation. And I got a card like this where, oops, let me get it centered.
Sourpuss, you always play devil's advocate. You rarely consider other people's feelings. You are blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Okay.
Just stuff like that. Just you can scan down a card or flip something over and go, oh, I could do something like that.
Yeah. And then find a card and go, oh, that goes against type. I like that. Let's use that.
Mm-hmm. So there are all kinds of things you can do like that game, or things like this, better backstories, that you can use to just throw in a random element of something, and you go, okay, so you've got this character and you've got your idea for it. And folks, the show has started. In case you missed that, we're starting the show now. Okay.
The show is started now.
The pre-show. But you can have a character and then give him something that doesn't really carry over into the main plot you have in mind. Like you could have your detective in a mystery story, and part of his backstory is that he was abandoned at a fire station as a child and adopted.
Right.
And that could come in later in a series where he starts finding clues to his own story. And it's a subplot to all of the other things that are going on. And having things that add depth to your characters, that make them seem more three-dimensional, is always a good thing.
In the Bosch series, Michael Connelly's Bosch, if you haven't read the books or seen the TV show, his mother was a prostitute who was murdered. It was murdered when he was a kid. He ended up in a really bad orphanage, came out kind of fucked up. But that subplot runs through the series for a few books, because he starts, while he's dealing with the regular bullshit, he's also gathering clues about this, that, and the other that's going on. It's pointing him toward, some kind of a resolution to this. And in fact, the resolution never really comes.
If you look at Longmire, the death of his wife is a plot point that mars the character, that breaks the character before the show starts. And he's still broken in ways as the show progresses. And when that comes to a head, it's explosive.
Yeah, when he finally lets loose. And that's also building up the pressure, right? When you're sitting there running around doing all your stuff, and then somebody says, oh, remember that thing that you were so concerned about or angry about or you couldn't figure out? Oh, I saw it again, or I heard it again, or hey, I got some information on this, that, and the other that comes out of left field. And then suddenly the character or characters have to make a decision. Are they going to go off on the side quest, or are they going to continue on doing what they're doing? And regardless of which way they go, they're going to be apprehensive about what they've done and what they're not doing. What they're doing as opposed to what their original intent was to do. And that puts characters in a very, very interesting place.
Moral quandaries are always fun.
Moral quandaries, ethics, and just plain insanity. It's just so much fun to play with those, and every character has those facets.
My wife and I are longtime viewers of the television show NCIS.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's gotten pretty bad in the last couple of seasons, in my personal opinion, one of the things that I think is interesting that they've done is the main character has a side quest this season. He's helping one of his friends track down who's providing the drugs that almost killed his friend's daughter.
Okay.
And he's not telling anyone what he's doing.
Yeah, he's going solo.
He's gone rogue on this. And his friend is even more rogue than him. So he's trying to keep a leash on his friend and at the same time not tell anyone else what he's doing.
I'm sure it's going to end just fine.
There's a lot of balls in the air. And he disappears at random moments. And they're like, boss,
where'd he go?
Where are you going? You haven't taken a day off in years. Got to go fishing. Mm. What? You can handle it. Just solve the crime. Okay.
Oh, it's just like in the series Justified. You know, he's always going off the proverbial reservation. I mean, just always. It doesn't matter what it could be a freaking traffic stop, and he'll find a way to fuck it up and turn it into a disaster. And that's part of what makes that character in that show so much damn fun, because he's smart. He's extremely smart, extremely stubborn, and has a code that can really end badly for people who get in his way. But it makes it interesting because he's constantly dancing between the law and what he thinks is right. And that's where we get that's where the detective stories, the cop stories, all that stuff goes together. And that's part of it, right? You're riding that edge. And it's the same thing with military stories. It's do I frag the LT or I let the rest of my company die kind of thing. It's.
What about the one where the chemistry teacher becomes a drug dealer?
He wasn't a drug dealer. He was a drug manufacturer. He was a purveyor of pharmaceuticals.
What was the name of that show?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. There we go. There's a character that step by slow step walks down the dark path.
And then walks back up. And the other character, Jamie or whatever his name was, he starts at the bottom and works his way up through that show. And that's why I found that show so fascinating and so enjoyable to watch. But apart from all the other crazy zany bullshit that was going on, because these guys are just dumb. They're the dumbest drug dealers on the planet for like the first 2 seasons. They're just stupid, beyond stupid.
It's like watching that commercial where you've got the 4 kids tried to hide in a horror commercial. And you got the guy with the chainsaw behind him just shaking his head.
Yeah. They're why don't we take the running car? What are you, stupid?
Mask up on his forehead.
Oh, let's go hide over there with all the axes and chainsaws and shit. Let's split up. Yeah, that always works out well. How dumb. Oh. Anyway, yeah, it's like that.
That's the kind of drug dealers they were at the beginning.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. So the first 3 seasons were kind of okay, little darkness here and there, but then it got really fucking dark really fast. And yeah, it was hard to watch it. It's at many points, but Jesse, that was his name. That was a good series, a great series, because it was meant to end.
It had a definitive endpoint in mind from the beginning.
From the beginning. Same thing with Justified, my understanding. They knew it was going to be a limited run. They knew what they wanted to do, and they did it. And it's excellent. There's not a bad season in that show.
Sounds like they also had that same thing in mind with The Expanse.
Yes, they probably do. I don't know if those 2 writers have actually got a definitive end for that series or not.
I don't mean the writers. I mean the television show.
The television show, I can definitely see having a definitive end. It can only go on for so long.
I know that they had a definitive end in mind for Game of Thrones right up until the producers basically threw the show under the bus trying to get out from under it right at the very end and ruined it.
I didn't watch the last 3 seasons of GOT, so I have no idea. I'm happily ignorant.
My wife, I didn't watch any of it. I read the first book and decided it's not my cup of tea. So I didn't have to worry about it.
The first 2 seasons were amazing. Third season was kind of iffy and this, that, and the other. And the fourth season, I just bailed. Which is like, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't like any of these characters. The only 3 characters I like are constantly in a fucking disaster and are just getting screwed over and over again. It's kind of like, well, this is grimdark and that's cool and everything, but I'd rather read about some characters that aren't bad people. I mean, how long can you watch bad people having bad things happen to them and really get any kind of sense of enjoyment out of it? These are your heroes, and they're just as shitty as the people who are doing the awful things around them. I just, at some point, it just kind of, it's too much. It's just too much.
I knew that's how it was going to be, so that's the reason I never watched it.
Peter Dinklage's character made the series. It made the series. That character was not
the guy that saved the series.
Yeah, pretty much, because that character is incredible and he's a fantastic actor. The rest of it, though, it just too much crap. They probably could have condensed at least 3 of those seasons into 1 season and been okay with it, because they meandered around so much and did nothing.
How long has it been since George Martin actually published a new book?
I have no idea.
It's been a while, I think.
I'm not really a fan of the only thing I read by it. It's not fair. I've only read one thing by him, which was the first GOT book. And I didn't care for his writing style. I didn't care for the exposition. I didn't need 40 fucking pages about bannermen and goddamn fucking flags. I didn't need that shit. It just, yeah, okay, it makes sense, but you could have condensed that into 5 sentences and we'd have been okay. You didn't need to go into this massive history of how all this shit works and the political ties and everything else, because I don't fucking care. Get on with the story, god damn it. So that was the one major problem I had with that. And I know that that's part of the expansive fantasy landscape to have stuff like that in there. And some people love it. It's just not for me. But
I don't mind having a little bit of it, particularly when you're in a world that's different than our own. But it can definitely be overused.
Yeah, the Bannermen came in handy for the wars or whatnot, or allegiances, but you didn't quite have to have this humongous convoluted tree of who belonged to whom. It just, and whatever. I don't have anything against him as a writer. I don't think he's a bad writer. He's just not for me.
Who knows if he's a writer anymore?
Don't say that. He's a writer. He's just.
No, he may be doing other things. He may be producing God only knows what and having a grand old time of it.
Well, if I remember correctly, V-Wars, which is on Netflix now, is also his.
Did you say V-Wars? I don't know what that is.
Vampires.
Have not heard of it.
Yeah, it's there. I think that's his.
I know that he was, oh God, what was it? Long Shot? Something else? There was some other superhero-ish sort of thing. It wasn't Long Shot. It was Wild Cards. Wild Cards was one of his other works that was being done for the screen in some form or another. But I don't know. I've talked to a couple of people that have known him for a while. I don't know him personally, but who knows? The suspicion among a couple of people that actually have known him in the past is that he's making money and he's kind of happy sitting where he is, and he doesn't feel any pressure to write anything.
Success has killed more careers.
There's some truth to that.
But as long as you're getting that fat royalty check every quarter.
To have been writers more than to write.
True.
I'm not saying that's him. I don't know him personally, so I'm not gonna say that's how he is, but it's been a long time coming, that last Game of Thrones book.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, you could write a page a day, I think, and have made it by now.
One would think. One would think.
Now I've got to look and see when the last time he published anything was.
I wrote a little bit more than 500 words today, and that was the first in a couple of days, and it felt good, but man, I just got to get this goddamn book done. Fuck. I got my royalty check from Severed.
And?
For June through August.
And
it was also my 6-month Lucifer Verlag. So between my foreign rights and my Severed Press rights, I made a whopping $765 in the quarter of June, August.
According to this, George Martin says that the Winds of Winter book may arrive in May of 2021.
May arrive.
Not will, May.
May.
That was like middle of 2020. He said that. So yeah, I don't know how long. I didn't find anything easy to say how long it's been since he published anything else, but it's been, God, 5, 8, 10 years. I don't know, a long ass time.
Excuse me. Yeah, well, some people probably think I haven't published a book in 5 years.
Have you?
Yes.
I'm just being a jerk.
Fucking dickhead. I'm trying to wrap up a massive 5-book series. And you're
oh,
fucking
dear God, you are George Martin.
Tim Niederreiter posted something interesting on Patreon. It was about our discussion of the Twin Towers and what a disaster that is, just all the bullshit. And he said, well, wrapping up a huge series is really hard. Yeah, it really is.
Depending on how many threads you want to tie off at the end.
Yeah, and when you're dealing with something that's 3 or 4 books or 5 books or whatever, that's one long continuous tale, so to speak, it gets to be a huge pain in the ass to try and wrap it up. I can understand what he was trying to say about the Twin Towers and the whole trilogy of Tolkien and everything else, and that's cool. I get it.
That's not just the Twin Towers. That's the Two Towers.
Two Towers. Sorry, Twin Towers.
The Twin Towers is a completely different event.
Yes.
Now I know what we're talking about. Before I was going, I'm not familiar with this work. It must have something to do with terrorism and New York City. Apparently not.
Nope. Yeah, Two Towers. Pardon me. Anyway, it's a bridge book. Bridge books suck. I've had to write 2. They suck.
It's the bridge book of bridge books.
Yeah, it is the bridge. It is the bridge.
Everybody is going from point A to point C in that book.
And they could get there a hell of a lot sooner than they did.
They meandered across Middle Earth.
Yeah, pretty much. I want to show you all Middle Earth. So I'm going to have all these assholes start at one end and go all the way to the other. And I'm going to tell you about every place in between. Okay. Yeah, not my idea of a good read. But again, I've been told.
You gotta consider this was written how long ago?
A long time ago.
Tastes have changed.
Yes, they have. But I was never into the epic fantasy as much anyway, even as a kid.
When Tolkien wrote this, there was no epic fantasy.
Exactly.
Not in that. He wrote this and it was radically different than anything that had come before.
Yeah, and pretty much set the standard for all the fantasy novels to come. All
the pale imitations that followed.
Some of them aren't pale.
It's true.
Game of Thrones isn't pale.
It's more like bloodless because everybody's bled dry in Game of Thrones.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It has the same kind of epic feel, scale, etc. And it is kind of based on. I mean, just face it. Tolkien was fantasy. He kicked off epic fantasy. He was the guy. Don't like his work, but I will give him all the respect in the universe for what he accomplished.
Considering that he basically made the standard that everybody says is now a trope, He created the elves, the dwarves, all of the various races that are now tropes in fantasy. Well, he didn't create them, but he used them in ways that are now tropish.
Right. And he invented the trope of what the elves looked like, what the elves, that they were forest creatures and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, all that falls off from there, and everything is aped all the way down. And that's fine. I mean, as a creator, that has got to be the greatest freaking accomplishment of all time, to actually create something that is so beloved and instrumental to, how stories are thought of, how stories are created, how stories are presented, and the kinds of writing that can be done. And when somebody accomplishes that, holy shit.
I know that Ian McKellen and at least one of the other actors that played Frodo, I think.
Ian McKellen, not McClellan.
Whatever. He's not going to come hunt me down. I can mispronounce everybody's name. You're lucky I remember that much.
I'm lucky you remember my name.
On setting up a fund to buy Tolkien's house and turn it into a museum of sorts.
That would be fucking badass. Oh yeah, that should have been done a long time ago, actually.
It only just came up that it was going to be sold.
Ah, okay. The family's finally...
I don't know that the family owned it. This is the house that he wrote it in years and years before he had any money. I don't believe that the family owned it at the time. Let me see if I can find out. The other one is the one that played Dr. Watson in the Sherlock series, which I can't remember that actor's name at all.
The Sherlock series, yeah. Shit. One of my favorite British actors, actually. Can't remember his damn name to save my life.
They're calling it Project Northmore, and it's Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman, that's his name, yeah.
Sir Ian McKellen, Anne Lennox, Martin Freeman, John Rhys Davies, Sir
John Rhys Davies,
and others are trying to come up with the necessary funding to buy the home on Northmore Road where The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings was written.
That'd be fun to go to the UK to see that. That'd be fun.
It'd be like that trip I was taking around Washington State and chanced to cross the town where Twilight was centered.
Yeah, one of those weird deals where you look around going,
I had no idea this was here. This is weird.
Excuse me. I don't know, man. Have you ever had to write a bridge book?
I have. Because the damn book got too damn long and I decided to go ahead and make it a bridge book, and I've regretted that ever since. I should have just wrote the damn longer book and dealt with it.
Yeah, I understand that completely. It's the swampy middle times 2. Bridge books are the swampy middle squared, and they suck. And sometimes they're absolutely positively necessary for everything to go on, but man, they suck to write. You hate yourself while you're writing them. You just hate yourself.
Well, I just got to the end and like, if I keep going to where I'm going to wrap this up, this book is going to be twice as long as my other novels. I just need to find a place to cut it off. And I've regretted that. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just made a longer book.
Derelict Tomb, I originally considered just writing about the Mimira and not even having anything else that was going on outside. So we never saw what was going on outside the ship. The only viewpoint we had was of the Marines inside Mira. I could have written that entire book, just taking place inside the bowels of Mira. I could have done it. It would have gotten boring. And I was afraid it would get boring. It would just be the same thing over again. Enter a new room, clear the monsters, find the information. Enter a new room, clear the monsters, find the information. Ooh, environmental problem. Ooh, we have to get away from this. Ooh, soup break. It's just standard bullshit. So I went ahead and included all the other stuff that's going on that sometimes doesn't seem to be even connected to what the real story is. And I know some of my readers were like, yeah, that was good and everything, but man, it felt like a slog. Yeah, it kind of is, because you got all this shit to set up for the third book. And you got to get it set up somehow. So yeah, and you know, the problem, I think readers, once they get into that, if it's a beloved series or whatever, they look at it and they go, oh shit, it's a bridge book. Fuck.
It gets easier once you've got more books past it.
Yeah.
People don't complain about it as much when it's not the current one. Hello, cat. Let's see here.
And yet Tomb is the one that won the Parsec. So go figure. Terry, you and your cats, what are we going to do? For the patrons drinking at home, this is cat signing number 4, I think.
Something like that.
That's a lot of alcohol in a very short time. That's not good.
Minnie was off camera. She was just messing with the phone.
Yeah, but I'm going to count her anyway because she was messing with the phone.
She's just curled up there asleep now. She just felt the need to reach out and try to dial somebody.
For no reason. It's like Shadow. For no reason, he'll just suddenly go, oh, I want to play with a cord. He sat there for like 3 hours being a good kitty, and then suddenly the paw reaches out and starts fucking with shit for no reason. Except to get beatings. Maybe that's what it is. Daddy, I need attention. Even negative attention. Give it to me.
Little girl gets negative attention. She'll do things so that I will come love her. Even though half the time she'll get the water bottle.
Let me cause mayhem so you'll come give me some pettings.
He'll feel guilty after he shoots me with that water bottle. Then he'll come love me.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. They got you figured out, buddy.
They've got me figured out.
Is there a way to make bridge books not suck?
Don't do them.
Have you ever read a long-winded series that didn't have a bridge book?
I think if you write a long enough series, you're going to run across that.
I think it's impossible.
I don't think you can have a series that doesn't have. Well, actually, that's not true. If you're an experienced author, for example, I follow Nora Roberts' J.D. Robb pen name writing her In Death series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that she's had a bridge book in that. Those are episodic, and they're pretty definitively settled by the end of that book.
Yeah, I don't think episodic is going to call for a bridge necessarily.
Now, some of the major plots that are going on in her personal life have bridged novels in between that.
Okay. Interesting. Huh.
The detective Eve Dallas in there, she starts out the book with a lot of personal problems. And those are being dealt with as the series goes on. And her relationship with her husband, her relationship with her friends, her relationship with her own damaged psyche. Sometimes plots that are going on with that don't stop at the end of one novel. They'll be resident in several novels.
Sure. But that's not a bridge.
I don't count that as a bridge novel, but I'm saying that the plots bridge the novel ends.
Yes. That's a different animal. That's a different animal.
I think people write bridge novels because they get too lost in the weeds and don't realize that they have to make up their mind where they're going to go for an end point and let things drag out too long. And then they get tempted into just, okay, I've got to find a place to cut it off. I've got to find a place to bring this to an end so that I can be set up for the next book to definitively end it.
That was Evolution. That was the Black Evolution. I needed that book to be there. People wanted something more than what it was, but I could have made that book 300,000 words and nobody would have read it. And I got sick of being in labs all the time, so I want to be fucking done with it. So this is the last chance to get the labs and see what the creature
That was
does.
like David Weber being in meetings all the time.
Yeah. So you can't do it. It's maddening. You can't have that, and plus you can't really study the black anyway. It defies it defies a lot of scientific investigation because it doesn't play nice with certain substances, most substances, in fact. But I needed to get the information to the readers so that they would understand and not think that I'm just pulling something out of my ass for book 5.
Oh God, that's all I do is I pull things out of my ass. That's my writing process.
Well, I had to lay down the pieces so that when Extinction comes, and people are going to go, oh, because that's what I want. That's what I want them to do.
I've got so many pieces laid down in this 13-book series thus far that it's no problem for me to reach back and grab some random piece and use it in a current novel. And that's what book 14 is going to be. I'm going to be grabbing some pieces that I've left aside and coming back to them and causing mayhem.
I posted something on my patrons talking about Soul and Beyond and Derelict, and I really think that once Derelict is done, I'm going to start work on the Scaparelli Rebellion and the Satellite War for the patrons, and that will be Patreon exclusive, just 2 novellas or something like that to kind of talk about what happened there and also reveal some details that will explain some things that happened in book 5.
Allow me to suggest that you make it a Patreon exclusive for a period of time.
Yeah, it will.
Permanently Patreon exclusive.
It will, but the thing is, I can't. It's again, it can only be an audio because I won't have the rights back.
For 6 billion years, Paul has been waiting for his rights to revert.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while, but hey, I get the black back, so that will be awesome.
Then you can finish Destroying Humanity.
I am really looking forward to Destroying Humanity and Extinction. I am really looking forward to it.
So are the plans to write up Extinction so that the day you get it all back, you can republish everything else and then just lay this on the universe?
Plan is to finish Extinction, podcast it for Patreon and on my podcast, and then when this year, probably March, April, I think I'm going to let loose my editor on the first Black Book, and we're going to go through and tighten it up and remove some bullshit, get some of the Severed Press stank off of it, and hopefully get that around, and then I'll try and find somebody to record it. And then I'll have the ebook and the trade paperback ready to go, and then repeat that process for repeat that process for Arrival, repeat that process for Outbreak, repeat that process for Evolution, repeat that process for Extinction, and release them every 4 or 5 months.
So can you publish the Black again and not screw up the contract for the other stuff? It is a new publication in the same series, even though it's one that you've got the rights reverted, or do you have to wait for the entirety of the Black to be out before you can publish anything in the Black?
I have to make sure all of the books are out. For the Outbreak is the only one I'm waiting on to expire.
Okay.
And once that, like I said, once that's done, I mean, this is going to cost me some money. I'll have to find a way to pay for it, but I really, really, really want to get a professional house to do the audiobooks for me, kind of like what you're doing. So I can just basically say, take it, make it happen, and do it right. And then I can focus on, getting those novels back out and actually do some serious promotion for them.
Get yourself, some good fishnet stockings and some thigh-high boots and start earning that money to go ahead and pay for all that.
Yeah, right. So that's the basic. I mean, and once Derelict is out, I'll do the same thing with that. Only that's 367,000 words.
This is just a general question. When do you finally file the last of the Severed Press stank off your stuff? I mean, when is it all back in your pocket? Just realize.
The Black comes back to me, I think, in May of 2022, and Derelict is 2025 or 2024. 2024. So yeah, it's going to be a while.
In between, then you'll have to start a brand new series.
I have already laid out 3 or 4 new series and books that I want to write, and I just have to decide whether I'm going to jump back into the sci-fi horror train, or if I'm going to back into doing my version of urban fantasy in the Closet Treats, Scares Inferno Tattoo universe, Tony Downs universe. Of course, I should say that's the Tony Downs Garaga Fiends universe is what it is. It's all 3 together that are colliding. We just haven't gotten to the Garaga collision yet. That's the book after this next one. That's the book after
so many
Track
projects that I want to write. Oh my God. It's ridiculous.
Too many stories, dude. I mean, every once in a while I'll go back and I'll look at just for shits and giggles. I forget what a story title is, and I go look and I'm like, what is that? What is that I left for myself? What? I don't even remember putting this in here. And then I go and I read it and go, oh yeah, that one. Oh wait, this is a half-formed idea. Why did you write it down half-formed? Where's the rest of the idea? I don't know what I was thinking at the time.
I just, as basically a throwaway paragraph inside one of the books in the Empire series, I realized I had an entirely new series that I have to write set in it.
Yep.
And that the throwaway thing was them walking down the corridor from the Imperial throne room on Terra to the Imperial residence in the abandoned Imperial palace there. And starting with Emperor Marcus's picture being near the throne room and going all the way back to the Imperial residence and the first emperor.
Right.
And I made a throwaway comment that technically he hadn't been an emperor at the beginning because he'd been an admiral in the Terran Republic that overthrew the corrupt Republic and formed the empire because of the bureaucracy and the civil war that was going on. And I said, that's one paragraph that I just wrote, and there's a whole damn series of God knows how many novels that I have to write because I did that.
Yeah, Bio of Space Tyrant. That's that you're writing your version of Bio of a Space Tyrant by the sounds.
I love Bio of a Space Tyrant, by the way, when I read it.
It's a great book.
It was amazing work. And I won't say that it doesn't have something to do with this, but actually, I think the idea of it came from something that Glenn Stewart wrote. In one of his series, he has basically humanity is being run by a tyrant. And the tyrant's son is an admiral in their fleet, and he decides that he's going to rebel. It fails, and he gets exiled, and that's the title of the book, Exile. But he and all of the rebels, rather than kill her son, the tyrant exiles everyone, irredeemably far away from humanity's sphere of influence.
Yeah, don't ever do that. Just kill them.
I mentioned to him, I said, that means he's going to have to get home eventually, right? And he's like, we'll see about that.
Did he go home?
He did not in the 3 books that he wrote that completed that series. No.
Okay.
And I don't know that he intends to return to it, so I'm not going to put any words in his mouth. I personally would love to see that, but I don't know that it's going to happen. But seeing him write that, and then when I'm writing this, I'm like, well, of course I have to have somebody, overthrowing the corrupt republic. It's like Star Wars. I've got to have it. Except they didn't overthrow a corrupt republic. May have been corrupt. I'm not really sure. But, he's not going to be the bad guy. He's going to be the good guy that has to basically mop the floor with all of the warring factions that are controlled by corporate interests or other less savory types. So there's a lot of story to be told there. And I realized after I wrote that one paragraph that I'd basically committed myself to God only knows how many more books.
You haven't committed to shit. You just basically said, here's this thing over here, and we may or may not get to it.
We'll get to it. Sometime in 2021, I'm going to write the first book of that series. God only knows what it's going to be. I really have no idea what the character's going to be like. It's going to be interesting.
Well, we'll see how all that works.
But there's so many damn series that I want to start. And I'm like, how many books a year can you write, Terry?
I've thought about just putting together some more novellas or long short stories, if you will, about the Suits. My Suits series. I think I want to get that. I think I want to work more on that. It'll be multiple stories, but I've already got Whispers, and that's been published, and that was a Suit novel, or Suit story. The story I wrote for the Four Horsemen, I can rip off the filing numbers, and it's still a Suit story. And I have 2 or 3 more in mind. One of them probably a big novella, which is basically when the war is over and the last Suit comes home. And he's been gone for, because of that pesky relativity thing, he's been gone for like 30, 40 years. And coming back to a world he doesn't understand, doesn't know. And then because of the war,
and doesn't give a shit about.
Wouldn't go that far away, but the process of what they had to do to win the war, they had to take out implants and everything else from a guy who was used to working in a practically telepathic team, and all that's been ripped away, and it causes some serious mental instabilities. But the guy is a good guy. The guy is trying to be a good guy, but now he's got, delusional problems. He's got, all this other stuff. But I really wanted to go into that because it's one of those kinds of books I read a whole lot during, when I was 11, 12, I was just absolutely all over anything Vietnam fiction. I was all over it. The good stuff, not the crap. And one of the greatest books, I can't remember the name of it now, when we did that in college, was some book that was written in 84, 85. I think they made a movie with Bruce Willis in it. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, it kind of dealt with a lot of those things. And I realized that's with all the vets I grew up with when I was a kid, going on hunting trips. I spoke like a true Texan there, hunting trips. Going hunting with those folks and hearing the conversations that took place between like 1 and 4 in the morning when I was supposed to be asleep. But I heard all that bullshit, and I heard all the stuff that was going on and all these different stories, war stories being passed back and forth. And of course, with the war story, you never know how much is bullshit.
Like a fishing story.
Yeah. Tim O'Reilly says in How to Tell a True War Story, you can always tell when someone's about to tell a true war story because they say, "This is no shit." And it was pretty funny, but that's another great book. Tim O'Reilly's The Things They Carried. I think I got the name right. Tim O'Brien, not Tim O'Reilly. Tim O'Brien. Great book. You should check it out. But that I really want to talk about because it's the human condition, and it also, I just really fucking think that the public over and over again forgets what those kids come back to and how fucked up things are for them. And we haven't really done a good job.
Holy shit. The people that are coming back from the sandbox are fucked up.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when I remember this Indian I worked with, Subbu Subramanian, when we attacked Afghanistan, when we attacked Iraq, he looked at me and he goes, "Aren't you excited? You're going to win." I said, "No, we're not." "Yes, the war is almost over." No, the war is not going to be over for decades because I've seen this shit before. And I was dead on. It's Vietnam all over again.
The Russians learned this lesson in Afghanistan. Anybody that's watched the area would know that's...
This goes back 4,000 fucking years. Do not fuck with anybody in the Afghan mountains. Nobody wins. Alexander the Great didn't win. No one has ever won there. You can't win. Stop pretending to try or even consider that you can. Oh, this time we'll do it. No, you won't. You just don't get it.
this is probably going to,
Fucking idiots.
Here we go. I'm going to say something that's going to offend at least somebody. The only way to win a war in an environment like that is to set your goal to basically blast them back to the Stone Age.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to win by conquering them, but you might hurt them badly enough to where they lick their wounds and don't bother you for a few years.
Yeah, for a few years, and then they come back and they're even more pissed off than they were before.
And then you go back and carpet bomb them again.
But, and kill how many civilians in the process?
That's the problem. That's the problem with that kind of war is that's the only way that you can fight in that kind of environment because there is no victory in that type of environment.
No, and there's no victory. There's no victory in a place like Iraq. There's no victory. There would be no victory in a place like Iran either. You're talking about you will be facing massive insurgencies for your entire time there. You can't hold it. You can't take it.
So much for the unified world government. Damn it.
Well, when you're a fucking moron who doesn't read fucking history and all you can see is oil barrels, you kind of forget sanity.
I'm actually speaking not of current events. I'm talking about, in science fiction novels, you're always talking about eventually Earth having a global government. And I was like, yeah, that's never going to work. That is never going to work.
I'd like to think that one day, probably long after I'm dead, that human beings will finally get their shit together and figure out that countries don't matter, that human beings matter.
Human beings are tribal.
I know they are.
I'm
talking about social evolution. I'm not talking about the fact that we are the way that we are now. I'm saying my hope is that
that's not what I'm referring to. What I'm saying is that we can't hold the entirety of the world in our minds. We can't hold every single human being in our minds. We associate with those closest around us, whether that be family or village or whatever small grouping of people you associate yourselves with. That's where you tribalize. It could be your tribe could be writers. Your tribe could be the village you live in. Your tribe could be whatever. So I'm not saying tribal in a different way. I'm saying that we only can be close to the people we can envision ourselves being close to as human beings. And we can't envision 7 billion people. The people on the other side of the planet, they are foreign to us. And do you really care? Tell me most people don't even think of people on the other side of the planet.
Yeah, that would be one of the problems, actually. That would be one of the big problems. And I guess really, when you talk about global, the whole idea is if it's just like the United States. You could say the same thing about the United States. Why would it ever hold together? Of course, right now we're kind of seeing it try and rip itself apart. But the bottom line is because all the states kind of set up their thing. The federal government is there to regulate commerce and regulate laws between the states. That's what they're supposed to be there for. Well,
There's
global
been a
government.
lot of creep in what the federal government was allowed to do over the last years.
That is a completely different argument we can have for days on some other channel, some other live stream, some other time and place. Regardless, essentially a global government would probably do little more than police human rights and handle trade.
Look how well the UN handles human
rights. The UN has no power. They have absolutely no power.
Look at the countries they put on the Human Rights Council. It is ludicrous.
Don't get me started on that. Just don't even. Don't even. We sure as fuck shouldn't be on there. Anyway,
anybody should be on there, but they've picked some real bad actors to be on that council.
Yeah, they should have put Uruguay and Canada on that one.
Hey, this is Canada. We're going to be taking care of human rights in the world now, okay?
Yeah, Uruguay, Canada, maybe Ireland, depending on who's in power. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea, actually. No, when you're talking about a global government or a solar system government, it has to happen. There has to be some kind of rules everybody at least is supposed to play by. Otherwise, it's just pure anarchy.
It's so cute when you're so idealistic. It's never going to happen. Never, ever, ever going to happen.
I disagree. We have how many trucking companies in this country?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's got to be bazillions, or just in this country, let alone the fucking world. Well, okay. In this country anyway, and in Europe, I don't know about any other countries. They have to have industrial licenses to drive commercial vehicles. They have to have all these different sets of qualifications to get in said vehicles. And if they get caught without those certifications, or they've done something funky with their truck, they get fined and possibly jailed. There's always going to be something like that there, because people are stupid and can't play by the rules. Therefore, they, in some cases, have to be taken to task or removed because they're a danger.
No matter what the rule is, you're going to find somebody willing to push the envelope for money.
Fuck yes. That's the whole legal profession is about setting a line and then figuring out how close you can get to it without crossing over it.
And then on the law enforcement side, it's like whack-a-mole.
It's always going to be whack-a-mole.
I say law enforcement. I should just say enforcement side.
Enforcement. Well, yeah, any kind of enforcement is going to be whack-a-mole. It does bring up some interesting questions. Is how would those different societies or cultures handle? I mean, imagine this. Take the Star Trek Federation, for instance, the Federation of Planets. How the fuck is that thing governed?
As far as I can determine, it's not.
I mean, basically, they have trade treaties, they have passage treaties, they're able to go in each other's space without a problem. It's exactly like it would be traveling around the United States.
In one way, I see that as the equivalent of the European Union.
Yes.
The problem with the European Union is that those countries all share very much a common history. They're bound together. And when you start wandering further away to places like China, to India, to the African continent, then their history and their background becomes so different than the European Union that if you tried to take a country that wasn't European into the European Union, I'm not sure how well they would mesh.
Probably not well at all.
Because to be part of the same unit, you have to have shared values. And you spoke earlier about what keeps the United States together. It's shared values. And that has indeed been a problem of late. And who knows where that's going to go. I hope that, we can all tone ourselves back down a little bit and move on from the last 20 years and try to find some way to coexist. But when people no longer share values, when they think that another group of people are antithetical, that are against their values, then that's where problems come in. And if it's happening in and honestly, as progressive a country as the United States is, you can only imagine the kind of problems that would have in places like Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how a world government is even theoretically possible.
Again, social evolution.
We are talking
if every
survive on this planet, because I'm not sure there's enough time to get everybody on the same page.
That's not my problem. Let me live in my fucking dream world for a second, dickhead. But here's what happened when I left Texas. Okay, and I went and got educated in Colorado State. I met people I never would have met otherwise. I was exposed to Midwestern culture, a shit ton of California dipshits, a bunch of East Coasters, and folks from the Midwest, all together, right? I would never have met those people otherwise. It would never have had the exchange of ideas, past histories, where they come from, how things work there. I would never have been exposed to that at all. And I really honestly think that if every American was kicked out of their state at the age of 18 and made to go someplace else in the United States, we'd probably be a better society for it.
I can't disagree with that.
Okay, well, then let's go ahead and expand that. Every American should travel abroad and should live there for like a month. In fact, every person in the world should go away for 4 weeks to someplace completely foreign.
Because I have to say that I lived in Moscow, Russia for 6 months, and that was a very different experience than living in the United States.
Was the Cold War still going on at that time?
This was 99, 2000.
Okay. All right.
I'm not that old, man.
You are. You're fucking ancient, man. I just turned 50 and you're what, 80 now?
Feels like it some days. Since Russia, the USSR went away in 91, you know, I would have been 30 when it went away. So I could have gone over there, but no, I went over for NASA with NASA.
That's right. NASA. I thought you went over there in the military. That's why I was confused. Anyway, continue.
But it's a radically different place. Even with the language barrier of me not speaking Russian, it doesn't take a genius to see things are done differently there.
All those trips I made to France for Schlumberger, each trip taught me something new. Each trip I picked up some new cultural tick, if you will. And that was awesome. That was just fucking awesome. Seeing how they eat, how they approach their meat, their vegetables, their absolute vilification of anything that has preservatives in it. Just all those things about the French culture were just very, very interesting to me. And it was a society that's really trying to take care of itself rather than throwing everybody to the wolves. So it's just completely different from the United States. Germany's the same way. England's the same way. Well, England's closer to America than anybody else in Europe, but still going to those places, going to Scotland, Amsterdam, all of that together is just, it keeps your brain evolving because you keep seeing things that are different. They may not be drastically different, but they're different enough to make you think, why is that way there? And why is it this way here? When you start asking yourself those questions, you may find out that you may discover, like I have, that we're a bunch of fucking idiots with a lot of the ways we do things.
I've done that for years.
A lot of our priorities are just completely fucked. Everybody freaked out when the Europeans said, okay, you're only going to work 6 hours a day. Or like, you're never getting anything done. Bullshit. What they did was they got rid of meetings. What they did is they got rid of meetings.
More efficient.
And they made them more efficient. And the biggest thing about that in those countries is the reason why they only want them to work 6 hours a week is because they want them to spend the rest of the time being fucking human beings and raising their goddamn kids. What a concept. Have a fucking family and enjoy it.
6 weeks of vacation. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, instead of working 13 fucking hours a day and then getting laid off and getting nothing in return. Yeah, fuck that shit. I mean,
not gonna find me defending that in the United States. Sorry, that's not my bag.
I know. I just, somebody who's lived in tech most of their life and then spent years on death marches. Yeah, fuck that. I'm never going back. You guys can go fuck yourselves. And the fact that you expect us to do that is ridiculous, especially when you say, oh, you're too expensive. We're going to bring somebody over from someplace else, but you're still going to do all the work because, well, they're not as fast as you are, but we're instead of giving you a raise, we're going to hire 2 more people from overseas. Fuck you.
Good luck training them.
Oh, fuck. Don't even get me started on that shit. Anyway,
I bet as you walk out the door, you saying good luck training them.
I believe my last words were, go fuck yourself when I left. I can't stand assholes who sabotage other people, other projects, and everything else just to get ahead. They're vile and they're horrible. And the corporations breed them on purpose. The universities, Harvard, etc., the business schools, they breed them on purpose that way until now all we have are sociopaths running these big companies. in the government. It's fucked. I don't know how to break this cycle, but that's why I'm never going back to big corp.
On the flip side, there's a whole different set of things going on in the White Towers of academia. They've got their own particular way of foisting their worldview off on everyone else. It's a crisis in this country from every angle.
Well, the internet just needs to die at this point until people can use common fucking sense. I mean, I'm seeing people jump at shit that I saw on fucking bulletin boards back in 1982. Fucking morons. It wasn't true then. It's not true now. But you fucking morons, because some dickhead on Twitter believe it.
Society.
Do it now?
Social media is a blight upon society.
It has become that way. It has become that way. That's why I pretty much opted out of it. Like I've got my Discord server
down. Look what you did.
People want to come to my Discord server and talk to me. I'm going to provide them a safe place to have, conversations. Any assholes that get in there, I just boot out. I don't have to answer to anybody. Period. I have control, and I like that because the shit
is my Facebook feed's the same way. I just mute people that I'm not wanting to hear.
Yeah, but that would be 95% of the assholes I'm connected to.
I don't look at their thing, and if all they're doing is talking politics, I don't care whose politics. Pass.
Yeah. I mean, the internet is a wonderful thing, but people have used it
they've weaponized it.
Yeah, they weaponized it. That's why I remember the Halcyon days of Twitter when you'd have 5 writers get in the conversation and then readers jumping in and it was all friendly and it was fun. And it wasn't this idiot bullshit where you had some person just looking to troll.
You know what the problem with Twitter is? It's that nobody can be face to face and punch somebody's lights out.
The same problem with Facebook.
Twitter's got it really bad, though. Twitter's got it much worse than Facebook.
I completely fucking disagree with you.
All right.
Completely disagree with you on that one.
I think that the level of civility on Twitter is much worse than Facebook.
It depends on whose tweets you're following. I curate my list. I think I'm only following 250 people, maybe. And I have like 2,500 people following me or something like that. But I don't, people add me and it's like, don't you follow back? No, I don't.
There's a button where, you could hit the fist sandwich icon on your, and their keyboard pops open and pops someone in the mouth. That might keep a little bit more civility going.
No, some people like that. They like to, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, I miss those days because, especially with the podcast fiction folk, we were always trading ideas and sparking conversations and controversies, false ones, on purpose. Slap fights. I mean, Jake Bible and I going at each other, and Matt Wallace and fuck, that's horrible. I can't remember her name. They do the Dicker podcast. I can't remember her fucking name. Anyway, Mur Lafferty. Thank you. Matt Wallace and Mur Lafferty going after each other. Sigler and Hutchins. I mean, just all this stuff, right? All these barbs traded back and forth, and trying to create this, that, and the other. And most everybody knew it was all in good fun. And you could do that. You can't do that now because some fucking army of dipshits will jump in. And it's like, I don't want your army of dipshits. I want my army of dipshits because they're dipshits I like.
Apparently Discord is a much better way to manage that.
It is. It's not threaded, though. It's the only real problem. It's not traditionally threaded. But it works, and hopefully we can build communities that way when I get DRS Discord up, which, yes, it will be going up.
I use Discord now, not because of DRS, but because I follow some gaming stuff on there, some tabletop role-playing stuff on there.
Yeah. And
I've slowly gotten used to it.
It's a good place for questions and answers for tech. If we have there's probably an ROS Discord server out there that I should join, just to kind of talk with the ROS developers and, learn some new tricks and ask questions and things like that. Because it's more focused than putting shit on Stack Overflow. right? You're talking to people in live real time. And for trying to get ideas or solve a problem, that's obviously going to be a fuck ton better than, putting something in Stack Overflow and waiting 2 days to see if somebody saw it and responded to it.
I like the fact that with Discord you can put channels on there, so you can subdivide it.
I've got 2 spoiler channels on my Discord server. I'm probably going to add another one. I've got one for the Black spoilers and another one for Derelict spoilers. And then I've also got those 2 channels, a Black channel and Derelict channel, as well as a general channel. And I'll probably add another channel for the Fiends, Skaraga, Universe, whatever. Another 2 channels for those. So that if the readers want to ask me a question because they've read the book and they want to know something that's spoilery or want to talk about something spoilery, people who haven't read it won't be shocked with that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it works in the long run, since I'm just now getting it started on Shadow Publications, but I've already had 5 people join up since I posted the link on Patreon. So I'm guessing that means it's already more popular than I thought it would be.
I got to say that ones that are really popular or that have a lot of traffic, they do have problems with bots getting in and spamming.
Yep. That's why I haven't made my server public. It's still a private server. You have to be invited. You can't just join it because I don't want to deal with that shit. There are actually things you can install on Discord to get rid of some of that crap, but I haven't looked into that garbage yet either. So we'll see. But as far as being able to collaborate and things like that, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So yeah, we'll be making use of that.
The DRS general channel has, spurts of activity where you'll talk about something and then there'll be a lot of conversation going back and forth, and then it dies.
Yeah.
And waits.
The conversation is over. Somebody will either pick up the thread and run with it again, or they'll start a new thread at some point when they're ready. But if I post a question on there or a comment, it gets read pretty fast. Okay, we are up to like 6 cats now. 6 cat sightings. Yes, but this is another sighting. Same cat, another sighting.
So I'm not sure who has not come up here. Misty has not come up here.
Oh boy. Oh.
She's enjoying the sun.
Evidently.
And Princess is over in her room. She's not coming out.
Ah, poor baby.
She comes out and she comes to the doorway and looks around, and she's feeling fine as far as getting out and doing stuff, but she likes not having to deal with anybody else. So she's at the other end of the hall, lurking down there.
Lurking.
She's got her own food, her own potty box. So she can hang out there even though the door is open and the other cats can come in. She can be the mistress of her own domain.
Does she fight with them when they come in?
No, but if they get within a couple of feet, she'll grumble at them and potentially hiss.
So she's a real loner kind of cat.
She pretty much is. She's happy when I come in there and I can pet on her, but she's part feral and she's not exactly, have a real fondness for being manipulated.
Shadow didn't like us to pick him up. Now he's getting more chill. After 5 years, he's finally becoming a lap cat.
She'll let me pet on her and she'll rub against me. So she likes it, but she doesn't like being picked up. And she doesn't like anything that messes with her hips because she's got problems there, apparently.
When I get rich and shameless, should that ever happen, I'm buying you a new chair. I'm going to find somebody that makes a chair that it is impossible for cats to rip up.
I don't know if that sucker exists. You should see actually, I can show you what it looks like here. You should see what they do to this chair here. Look at that. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it. That's what I'm saying. I've watched it for years.
They have tore that chair up.
Very, very sad. Very, very fucking.
I'm very much a function over form kind of person. So to me, it doesn't matter that the chair is torn up on the surface. As long as it still works, that's all I care about.
Well, that's why that chair is still there, even though I abandoned it a long time ago when I bought this one. It's still functional. It doesn't have a cushion, so it's got like a blanket draped over it. But
if you don't ever use it, you should probably get it out of your office.
Yeah, I know. Kind of like everything else in here. It's just throw everything away.
Because when something is no longer actually being used, then it doesn't have a function anymore. It's just taking up space.
Well, right now it has the flip dictionary on it, a PlayStation controller, a few cords.
So basically, it's a mobile table.
It's just junk, like everything else in here, including the carbon-based life form sitting in the chair. Oh, God. It's so hopeless. Oh, well, we should probably end this or something.
I think we should.
Since we've gone to the point of getting cats involved.
And their destructive nature.
And their destructive nature, because, that's the way we play here on DRS.
Why can't cats run the world government?
I wouldn't want that. We'd all end up, shoveling litter from here till doomsday. Cats would find a way to take a shit just to make you do work.
Sounds like some governments.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, if you'd like to talk to us about the babbling that we just did and point out any inanities that we actually created, which probably was the entire show.
Or promote any cat government everywhere.
You can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can find us on Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry moderates the insanity. We do not have a public link for our Discord yet. If you're a patron, that is there. We'll see how that goes. You can also find us at YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast. We have to thank our wonderful host pod hoster who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. And if you'd like to support the show and keep Terry and I on the screen and in your ear holes, you can join us via Patreon. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help support the show, pay bills, get access to, exclusive content, things like that, live shows, whatnot.
That's a live show that we need to do this month.
Yeah, we just did one, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, so we need to do
one a month, man.
Yeah, so we're going to schedule that puppy. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are, at this time, Chris Moody, Veronica Jaguar, Isabel Cushy, Chris Winder, TJ Brick, Rick Shaw, Andrew Smallwood, Tony L. Joy, Summer Wilson, and Jacob Patrick. Welcome, Jacob. There we go. That's what we got. I guess we're done or something.
We are. So we should go ahead and wave goodbye to the folks. And we will see you guys next week.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year.
We can certainly hope that this year is better than last year.
No shit. Take care, folks.
Bye-bye.